6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Let me check I've got the right mic. Yes, I do. Welcome back to the stream. Hope you are doing good. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you do hit the bell and, of course, share with your friends. It does really help the channel grow. So, as always, guys, we've got a bunch of markets to go through. We'll start with USD, work our way through the USD side of things, majors, DXY, gold, and silver. We'll take a look at our perps platform, then we'll go through some requested pairs. So if there's any pairs you want me to take a look at, any particular time frames as well, you want to share some trades, drop it in the chat and we shall discuss. Raphael, yes, we'll take a look at USD and Euro and New Zealand dollar. We'll actually get a couple, go through a couple of them when we go through USD pairs, but I will take a look at USD afterwards as well. So if you do have any pairs you want me to take a look at, drop it in the chat and we shall discuss. But first is first, the DXY. So it is becoming a bit more interesting now with the dollar. It does look like to me price is breaking to the downside out of this range, and perhaps we've got our breakout, which is phenomenal because price has been stuck within this range for about a month. Yeah, 13th of August. So more or less a month we've been in this range, and finally looks like price is breaking to the downside and seeing some momentum as well. Momentum is not that quite there yet, but we are firmly below the range. So I am pretty bearish on the dollar. I did say I was hinting at a bearish move lower because of all the wicks we've seen over the past few weeks here. We've got price support in this area in the weekly chart. Let me get the... There we go. So we've got prior wicks into this area. Support once, of course, we broke through that, now flipped into resistance, and you got a bunch of wicks into that same area. And you've seen over the past 3-4 weeks really exaggerated wicks into that same zone, and a lot of dojis as well. So really painting the picture that price is finding resistance in this area, and we're struggling to break through. So the likelihood is going to be a push in the opposite direction. It's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of momentum for us to break to the upside. And typically, price does move in the path of least resistance. Since there is a lot of resistance above us, we're likely to push lower. And now looks like we're getting the breakout. And if that is the case, that should take us back to these lows, maybe further, as the higher time frame trend just basically continues. So I am pretty bearish on the dollar. It looks like we've broken to the downside as well. So we've got that confirmation. As long as price trades below this area and we don't see a sudden rise back above. So as long as this basically isn't a fake out, as long as price doesn't do something like that, I'm expecting us to end up back around 96.390 in the next few days. So the plan is looking to short the dollar, sell pullbacks on USD, or buy something against the USD basically. But yeah, very, very bearish on USD CAD. Not USD CAD, but actually I'm bearish on USD CAD. But very bearish on the DXY, very bearish on USD, expecting more downside as long as we stay below this level. So that's the critical reference point to keep in mind. If you do break above that, I'll reanalyze. I probably still would be bearish, but I wouldn't be looking to short. So yeah, targets back down at that wick low. In terms of euro dollar, pretty much the opposite. Since price is now breaking the range to the upside, of course, we've got that inverse correlation at play. So this range, price looks like it's broken to the upside, and now it's respecting some prior resistance turn support. So same with euro. As long as you don't come crashing back below that level, I would be bullish on euro, expecting price to swing to the upside. And you've got the swing high here at 1.18313. So it just looks to me that if I go to the daily chart, that this uptrend is just continuing. We've got numerous higher highs and higher lows. The overall trend is to the upside, momentum's to the upside. And now with that close yesterday, firmly above the range high, that really sets the tone for me for the rest of the week. Again, as long as we stay above that level, it's vital we do that. That does set the tone for the rest of the week for more upside back to the swing highs at 1.183, and then we'll analyze from there. Maybe we double top it, maybe we absolutely smash through. I'll let Euro paint the picture, but for now, very, very bullish on Euro. I would suggest maybe some intraday pullbacks look good. Not a big fan of the way we've dropped there, so maybe a nice double bottom could look nice. If we could push up, come back again, reconfirm support, that could be a nice place for an entry in like a 15-minute chart or like a 30, even an hourly. But if you could drop lower, it could probably maximize the risk reward, at least back to highs, but we still do have targets above that as well. So there is potential, there is room to the upside there for Euro dollar. But yeah, very, very bullish. Again, as long as we stay above support, looking for more upside. Pound USD, not quite there yet with the breakout, but definitely hinting at it. I do think that will be the likely move as well. If USD is going to fall, then I do expect us to rise to the upside. And it looks like that big inverse head and shoulder pattern is very much coming into play. So you got the left, you got the right shoulder, there's your head, there's the retest of the shoulder, and of course that will be your neckline up here. Once we break through that, then it's very much looking to target the high there. So price action for me for pounds pretty straightforward. It has been quite flat, but we've got solid targets, solid levels. We're kind of trading in between, and once price does make a move above it, the plan is basically targeting the next key level, which of course would be the high up here, 1.37754. So I'm pretty bullish on pound USD, not necessarily looking to buy it just yet. We are trading into resistance, so now wouldn't be the best time to be looking to buy a pound. I would very much wait for price to clear that resistance, and that would be the confirmation, that would be the green light to actually start actively looking to buy a pound USD, especially intraday. Some pullbacks will look really good, perhaps the retest of the zone. But yeah, targets back to the high is what I'm looking for, and it looks like this will be the high low, and now we're seeing the continuation. So I am betting on price breaking through the high. Of course, I wouldn't buy yet. Like I said, wait for the breakout. We could still, for whatever reason, push lower and respect this area, so do watch out for that. But if we can clear the high, things are looking really good for pound USD. USD CAD, I'm currently in some shorts, looking for a move lower. I did say this is my favored USD pair coming to the week, and it still is. Although now that we're seeing some breakouts and maybe pound USD could see a breakout as well, I think that will look good. But I'm ready in dollar CAD, and I don't want to overdo it. I won't jump into another USD pair until I get this risk free. But I'm currently short dollar CAD. I really like how price double topped at the high. It was a really aggressive wick to the downside after NFP last week, which I didn't like. But the fact that price fired a nice wick to the upside, saw some strength coming back down again. I took this more so on the 8-hour chart. I really like that bearish engulfing candle, and the wicks were firing into this supply zone. Of course, you look to the left, brief consolidation, really aggressive move lower. I quite like what I'm seeing at that level, and all I'm looking for is a continuation. There's your push, sort of your pullback or your consolidation. Next phase, now we've got a larger pullback, looking like a lower high forming. Some degree, could be a bit of a head and shoulder pattern as well. Left shoulder, head, and then your right shoulder over there. So some degree you could be looking at that as a head and shoulder pattern. And hopefully we can at least see a push back into this low, which is where my first targets lie. And then secondly into that low. And the reason why I also like dollar CAD as well is where we're trading on the weekly chart. If you look at this level of resistance, which we've talked about on a few occasions, but again, just reminding where we're trading and where could be the next big destination for dollar CAD. You can see how many times prices respect to this area, and of course the significance and the aggressive nature of how we've reacted at these levels. We've seen some really big sell-offs. Not necessarily expecting price to completely melt down again, although it could, but I do think there's a good chance we do get back to lows here. There's currently a lot of bearish momentum in the market as well. I'm kind of expecting that to spill over. I've already seen some nice wicks to the upside on the weekly chart. So from a top-down perspective, it does look like dollar CAD is struggling to push higher. We're testing major resistance. We're seeing some bearish structure and momentum on the 4-hour chart. Really corrective pullback as well. Now I'm betting on the continuation of that with some stops above the high there. And if this does fail, I'll probably look to have a second attempt at the highs up here. If price does break through that, then I'll probably back away. But I might have a second attempt up there if this zone doesn't hold. But so far, price still currently at entry. Not a lot to report on there. As for Aussie dollar, looking good as well. Momentum's really picked up. It looks like Aussie's been a bit strong as well, so that's kind of helped it out. Not only USD being weak, but Aussie's being a little bit strong. We are heading back to resistance here where we can definitely bounce. Again, I do expect more USD weakness in the long term, so if we do bounce from here, I'm not expecting price to completely sell off and completely reverse. I'm more expecting more of a pullback, maybe a retest of this area, maybe another higher low. Price might look to form, 1, 2, 3, 4. That could be potentially a move there for Aussie dollar. But I do see price breaking to the upside, especially if USD is going to retain that weakness. And of course, Aussie is a little bit strong at the moment. But the only opportunity that makes sense right now will be looking to short the highs. Unless you're already long on the position, I wouldn't be looking to buy Aussie dollar now, especially after such a strong move and especially after pushing into highs. So let's see what price does at this level. There could be some shorts at this area, depending how we react. Of course, we could break out as well, so it's important to monitor and keep a close eye how price does react at this area. Are we throwing wicks, seeing rejection, or is price just seeing strong bullish momentum through the zone? And that will help us gauge if we're seeing a breakout or not. And if we are seeing healthy rejections, perhaps we could see a pullback, maybe at least to this area, 0.659, but more so potentially 0.657 to retest that level, which we haven't really had a retest. We've broken out, so it would be a nice fresh retest of that level. As for New Zealand dollar, also seeing some strength as well. Really nice conviction higher. Looks like we are breaking out of that descending channel. So it was at make or break area when we spoke about this yesterday. This was the channel price was operating in. I believe price was trading around here. And now it looks like we've definitely broken to the upside. So yeah, I would be pretty bullish now for New Zealand dollar. I do think price can push higher. Like I said, I'm pretty bearish on USD. So by default, I would be bullish on this pair. But we are seeing bullish confirmations with the breakout. We haven't taken out any key structure yet. This is still our lower high, which gave us this low. So this is still kind of counter trend, but we've got the breakout. And now you've got some bullish structure, which price can pull back into. Perhaps a retest, maybe another higher low, 2, 3, 4, and that could be a nice smart trade back into resistance. There's a lot of room to the upside if this does really take off, possibly a push back to the high up there, but I think we'll take it step by step. As of now, really nice momentum, pullbacks, more upside, looks the best for me. As for gold, gold's just crushing it, to be fair. Gold is absolutely crushing it. It's just gone past 36.50, I believe. Yeah, it's just gone past 36.50. So 3600 was a breeze. 36.50. Next big one will be 3700. Gold might be on a one-way ticket back to 4K. I say back to 4K like it's been there before. To 4K, which is not that far away anymore. It's not that far away. And of course, that consolidation we've had has well and truly broken out. Very, very aggressive candle last week. And looks like this candle for this week is just seeing a continuation of that. So again, the best way to trade gold, I would suggest, is again intraday pullbacks, looking to try and find those dips. We're not seeing much pullbacks. This is the biggest pullback we've seen, since the breakout. So you're not looking for, more complex, bigger pullback. Of course, that will happen at some point. But if you are intraday, 15-minute, even lower, you kind of just actively looking to try and buy those dips. Of course, we will get that bigger pullback at some point. But, that could be this week. It could be next week. It could be, in 3 weeks' time, potentially, we might aggressively push. When we do have consolidations like this, sometimes we can spit out and just have massive breakouts, especially in these conditions for a pair like this. So, yeah, you're looking at pullbacks and more upside. If I drop to the 15, actually, yeah, I would suggest even like a double bottom into this area. That could be a smart place for a buy. I mean, we could be onwards from here, but let's say if price does push back down, I think that could be, again, a smart place for a buy. As long as price maintains this bullish structure, looking to try and find that next high low for another push. So yeah, still very, very bullish here for gold, expecting more upside. Of course, there'll be a pullback at some point, but There's no signs of that happening just yet. And as for silver as well, still very bullish. Not as bullish as gold. We're kind of stuck in consolidation here. I would say price is having a hard time right now breaking through highs. So again, with silver, now's the time to kind of back away a little bit. There might be some nice active buy positions at the low of the range. You know, if price does get there again, bounce as well. That could be a nice kind of intraday position, simply buying low to sell it into the higher resistance. If you're looking for momentum and trend following opportunities, then you kind of want to see a breakout as well, and look for some pullbacks for that trade. There are some areas further down for silver. If we do go through a slightly bigger pullback, I wouldn't mind silver potentially pushing down and doing something like this and then taking a longer buy. That will be a very nice swing opportunity to take it back to highs and maybe new highs past that as well. So I quite like that opportunity there for silver if we are going to go for a deeper pullback, since we are failing at highs and we've had 3 attempts now. So maybe that bigger pullback is on the cards. But again, if you're intraday looking to actively buy silver, follow momentum, you want to see similar price action to what gold is doing, and that's breaking out this consolidation and looking for some pullbacks afterwards. There could be some opportunities, small opportunities, kind of playing the range, buying low, selling high. But yeah, this is something that does interest me, especially from a 4-hour perspective. Might still be a while before that happens, and we still have to break lower as well. So not going to get too engrossed in that position because still a lot needs to happen for it to set up. In terms of direction, in terms of bias, very, very bullish for now. Anyway, guys, welcome to the chat. Hope you are doing good. Welcome. Yep, Raphael, we'll take a look at USD shortly as well. USD, yep, and Euro as well. Ivan, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Yusuf, my man, I hope you're doing good. Welcome. Manzoni, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Yusuf, Euro GU 15, no problem. Manzondi, how long do you think the XY will be tanking for? Well, how long for is a difficult question. I've got my targets as to where I expect price to get to. But of course, price, could do that very, very quickly, or it could do it, slowly. Momentum will depend on things, but this is where I'm expecting price to get to. In terms of the time scale, could be a week, could be maybe 2 weeks, depending how correct we are. But yeah, I do expect more downside now. I do expect price to fall. 96.39 is my target. And then I'm not necessarily bearish beyond that point, because I do think we are starting to become a bit more corrective. So I can see a possibility where dollar does tank, takes out lows, starts to become a bit more corrective, and then we might go for another big pullback phase, something like this, maybe even a reversal. So I am bearish on dollar, at least back to these lows. I'll monitor how we get there and how we react as well. That will help paint the picture, whether we're tanking through the floor and we're going to continue, or price might look to reverse. But at least expect us to get to that low there. So yeah, maybe a week or two potentially. But anyway, we're going to quickly go through our perps platform, and then we'll take a look at some of the requested pairs. Of course, guys, if you do have any pairs you want me to take a look at, drop it in the chat. We shall discuss. Good morning, Tashi. Welcome to the stream. Dimar, welcome. LFTJ, welcome to the stream. Coffee Spinner, what's up, my man? Welcome. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. So yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out the perps platform, it's something we've been working on for the past few months. Allows you to trade perps, and at the moment we do have cryptocurrencies, a wide range of cryptocurrencies you can trade, by FX, commodities, other markets, which probably you're more familiar with, will be coming soon to the platform. But it's a very easy platform to use. Maybe you are new to the concept, but very easy to grasp. Again, similar to how pretty much any other trading platform, you can buy, sell, set orders, stop orders, manage positions, view positions well. The key feature of this platform is that we are incorporating AI and AI features, tools to help aid your trading. We do have Miko AI at the top left there, which will provide you analysis in terms of risk sentiment, the market analysis, what's expected, 4-hour setups, and if there are no setups, it will just say neutral. In terms of getting started, just connect your Ethereum or Solana wallet, and if you don't have any of those wallets, you can connect with your email as well, but I would recommend to get that sorted. And we are running a competition on the platform. There will be cash prizes for the best performing traders there. So if you do want to partake, let me get the form. Just drop your email if you are interested. And again, it's just a bit of fun, nothing serious. And of course, if you do perform well, there are some prizes. So it's a win-win situation. Just get the... So yeah, if you are interested, drop your email down there. And we'll have some more information regarding the rules and the parameters of the challenge and how it's going to work. Okay, guys, so we'll take a look at USD for Raphael. And then we'll go for Euro G on the 15. We'll take a look at Pound Aussie as well for LFTJ. Coffee Spinner, Pound USD, sure thing. We can take a look as well. No problemo. So we'll start with Euro NZD, and then we'll go through some USD pairs. So in terms of Euro NZD, this one's continued to the downside. Yeah, it has. So this is at an interesting area. Naturally, I would be bullish for this market because, of course, trend's been up, momentum's up, seeing higher highs and higher lows. But we are trading at some areas where we have to be a bit more cautious with that bias because we could be looking at price turning around, at least maybe for a bigger pullback. It might not necessarily be turning around as like a complete reversal, although that could be the case as well. But you just want to be a bit more cautious. You don't want to be actively and aggressively buying this trend because of where we're located, how long we've been bullish for as well. Those factors do play an important role. So naturally I would be bullish, but I'm kind of being a bit cautious now. We are coming to some nice areas of demand where we of course did have a really aggressive move to the upside. We may see a bounce here. I do like this bullish move, although it did come to nothing and we did aggressively fall over. I do think there could still be another buy, but I do want to see a strong reaction at this zone. And I would be looking at something like this. At least a push towards the higher end of the channel. And then we'll go from there. Maybe we do see a continuation of the trend. Maybe price puts a lower high in and melts some more. You want to be kind of playing both sides of the game there, both sides of the coin, because the trend is up. Yes, you do want to be taking advantage of the trend, but we are coming towards the end of the trend. This might not necessarily be the end, but I would say we're a lot closer to the end than the beginning, or even closer to the end in the middle. So I would be quite cautious with that. And when I'm trading towards the end of a trend versus the middle, I'm a bit more cautious and I'm not so aggressive with targets or aggressive with entries either, because two different phases need to be traded differently. So with this current area which price is moving into, nice area of demand, lovely push to the upside, relatively corrective move to the downside. So it is ticking some boxes here. We just need to see some strength coming at this zone to back an entry. But targets, I would suggest keep an eye in this area. Depending what price does, if we're reacting really well, I would just call it quits, take my profit and run. If, momentum continues, we're showing strength through the zone, then maybe price is going to rally to highs and maybe further as well, then, hold the position. But that's something I would actively be a bit careful with because I can definitely see a situation where we do go for a bit of a sell-off here. It could even just be a bigger pullback, not necessarily a reversal. One of these higher lows forming before price does continue. So I'll be a bit watchful of USD, but we are in a nice place for a buy, and I'll keep an eye on that. Of course, not necessarily seeing any confirmation just yet, but we are in an area which makes sense to monitor and keep a close eye. In terms of Euro USD, so this one's looking very bullish. On the 15-minute chart, buys make the most sense. Buys definitely make the most sense here. I did suggest it would be nice to see maybe a double bottom. So let's say if price was to find resistance, push back down into lows, and then take a reaction off the low. This would be a nice place to be looking for entries because, of course, unless you're already in the position, I would say the train has kind of left the station a little bit there as we're approaching highs. So this is really where the focus would be for euro dollar. But in terms of direction, very, very bullish. We broke to the upside, convincing momentum. Really strong daily close as well. So that backs up. It's not like we've just seen a breakout on the 15-minute chart. We've seen a breakout relative to the daily time frame, and we've seen a strong close as well. So we can be a bit more confident with these buying opportunities that we've got a higher time frame backing this breakout. So the likelihood of this trend continuing is pretty high. But of course, if you are looking for entries, it's a little bit late to be entering up here, especially where you're going to put your stop loss, probably there. Risk reward's not looking fantastic. So ideally, you would want price to roll over, reconfirm support, maybe even spike through it a little bit, and hopefully see some healthy rejections there for an entry. Targets back at highs, and I do expect us to eventually hit this high. So that could be like a longer term target you might be playing towards. But yeah, 50-minute chart, a convincing bullish trend above key resistance. Now that will be acting as support for us, hopefully. Buys do look good, but yeah, do want us to revisit support before looking to enter. Unless you're already in the position, then just manage it accordingly. Watch out for the highs, but hopefully price can go further. As for pound USD, this one is heading to resistance. I do think price is likely to break through. I do think USD is likely to continue falling. So I do think pound USD will break through this area. Really nice inverse head and shoulder pattern at play. Left head, right shoulder. There's your neckline, and I do think price is going to smash straight through that. So, I mean, even though I do expect price to break through, there's nothing for us to do necessarily in terms of the buys, because at the end of the day, price hasn't broken through it yet, and you don't be looking to buy now, especially in this area where we've seen price turn around really aggressively. So this is not the time and place to be looking to buy. If anything, it makes sense to sell, but because of my bias, I wouldn't really be looking to sell unless I see some really aggressive rejections that can tell me otherwise. At the moment, momentum's still looking pretty strong. So yeah, I would probably wait for another scenario like what we're seeing with Euro. Wait for a strong close in the day. Hopefully today's close can give us that. So wait for a strong close today, and then come back to the charts tomorrow to look for your pullbacks and your opportunities to buy. I feel like Euro USD is 1 day ahead of where I want pound USD to be, which is above key resistance. And then we've got a pretty clean range between this level and that level back to highs. And that's our tradable range. That's our opportunity to trade pound USD, especially if we get that breakout. So pound, I am favoring longs. Yes, we're testing resistance, so keep an eye on that. Unless we see some really aggressive rejections here, there could be some shorts coming into play, but personally, I don't see that happening. But let's keep an open mind. But yeah, I do see price breaking out. So I would wait for the daily to confirm things, because the worst thing to do is get caught on breakouts, especially dropping to the 50-minute chart. You probably would have get caught on some breakouts back over here when we had our last breakout and get caught on the wrong side of the market. So waiting for the higher time frame to confirm the breakout and then dropping to an intraday time frame to trade it is just a much better prospect. And you can afford to do that. It's a pretty big range we're trading. It's about 200 pips. You don't necessarily have to be in right at the bottom to take advantage of that. So yeah, pound USD 50-minute is at resistance. Not a lot to say about the buys. Not a lot to say about sells either. Not really rejecting really well. I do expect more upside, but let's wait for the higher time frames to back it. And then the pullback just make a lot more sense. Just like what Euro USD is doing. Really nice aggressive breakout on the daily chart. I would suggest more upside is now the likely route. And we've got some clean levels there to target as well. So yeah, I do still see price pushing to the upside, but not quite there yet. Need to be a bit more patient. Okay, so pound Aussie we'll take a look at next for LFTJ. We'll take a look at pound NZD as well. Euro Aussie, okay. We can go through those two. And as for pound USD in the 4-hour chart for Coffee Spinner, as for pound USD, basically the same analysis as I mentioned in the 15 chart. Still waiting for a confirmed breakout of that. And then this becomes a very healthy level for a buy if we can get a break and retest. And then I'm expecting price just to continue back to the high. So the analysis is basically waiting for buying opportunities. I'm quite bearish on USD. If we do see the breakout, that's our green light. Can even long in the breakout potentially as well and have a stop underneath the low. But if you're looking for more of a retest, hopefully you'll find that, or at least a retest somewhere else on the way up. So yeah, still kind of waiting for the breakout. Hopefully the daily chart can give us that today. And then for the rest of the week, looking at breakout opportunities or pullbacks on the way up. Hey, what's up, Ashi? Welcome to the streamer, man. I hope you are doing good. Welcome, welcome. Annie, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, we can take a look at natural gas. Just got a few pairs to go through first, and then we shall take a look at natural gas for you. Bashi, what's up? Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the streams, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. All that good stuff does really help out. You know, comment or drop a... Is comment the right word? I don't think it is. Drop a chat. You guys know what I mean. Yeah, any pairs or timeframes or trades or any ideas you want to share, drop it in the chat. We shall discuss. And of course, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, all that good stuff does really help out the channel, and I do really appreciate it. Bashi, got my first affiliate link. Nice. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help, man. Happy to help. Drop a comment is okay. Yeah, I just feel like when you say drop a comment, it kind of means like the comment section below, because there is a comment section for a stream as well when it's done, I'm pretty sure. Even during the stream, there might be a comment section there as well. So, I don't know, drop a chat, drop a comment. You guys know what I mean, though. You guys know what I mean. But yeah, I just feel like comment is the wrong word, but maybe it's the right word. Who knows? Anyway, let's go through pound, NZD, euro, Aussie, pound, Aussie as well. So with pound NZD, it's a similar situation to euro NZD in terms of we've got a long-lasting uptrend, but price is now trading at some areas where I wouldn't really want to be continuing this trend anymore. I'm scaling to the weekly chart, lovely uptrend. Most of the time you're actively looking to buy this sort of market condition. However, we have approached some resistance. We have rejected it pretty well, and it does look like the trend is starting to tire and perhaps looking for a bigger move down. And especially, we've taken out COVID highs a while back, and I've been expecting a bigger pullback since then, and it really just hasn't happened, but I do think it will eventually happen. So I'm being a bit cautious as well with pound NZD for the buys. There is a nice level below us which we can definitely bounce from, but the same analysis and strategy applies for euro NZD as with pound NZD. I do think we can see a bounce here. The market has been relatively corrective on the way down, which again implies we haven't really seen much selling pressure. So again, I do think there could still be a bounce here, but I wouldn't be shooting for the moon in this case. I would actually be expecting something like this to happen. So I'll be ready to close the trade if need be. If momentum continues, great. I'll hold on back to highs, but I'll be very cautious with this opportunity. So with pound NZD, we are coming back to retest the very key level, which again makes sense for a buy. Let's wait for price to actually get there first. Monitor, hopefully see some nice rejection. And if you do get some entry confirmations, great. Take some entries, but I would be very watchful of this counter trend line and of these lower highs. My first impression would be expecting another lower high to form and price to eventually go against me. So I would be quite cautious with the buys and targets. If we do see maybe some news or a big breakout, great. You can hold the position further, but I would be quite cautious, especially because of where we're trading and how price is rejecting the highs like that. So yeah, I would be quite cautious there, but still a nice place for a buy, but short-term outlook is kind of where I'd be with pound NZD. In terms of pound Aussie, I believe we're still at the low of the range, aren't we? Well, more or less the low of the range anyway. So pound Aussie is similar situation to pound NZD as well. Of course, they're very similar pairs in general, but I do think this is another pair which again is a little bit tired and could be looking at a downturn soon, but I wouldn't necessarily confirm that bias until we do manage to really break through support. If price can see a strong close through that support level, that will be the key confirmation to actually validate that bearish bias, and we could be looking at somewhat of a trend. At the moment, the market is still bullish. I mean, we are flat now, but the overall trend is still up, so looking to buy at the low does still make sense, and it very much still could be a nice opportunity for a buy. I just want to see a bit more development. We did come in for the first test, nice bounce to the upside. I kind of want to see us maybe consolidate, really confirm that as support, and then eventually see a strong shift. Sort of like what we got here, really nice consolidation. Doesn't have to be as long or as big of a breakout, but something that really does portray to me that price is still really finding support here. See a few tests and then we get the buy. I think that would be a really nice entry. And we are quite slow as well. It's not like we're crashing back down, so it gives the impression that we probably do have at least one more bounce at this support level. But yeah, no entries quite yet for myself, so staying on the fence for now. But yeah, we are coming to support. Let's monitor that. I kind of want price to consolidate a little bit, build up some momentum, and then hopefully take the entry. And like I said, if we do see price breakthrough, well, I'll be pretty bearish onwards from that point. So yeah, pound Aussie buys make sense. We're definitely at support. I would keep an eye. Not quite convinced of the price action for the buys just yet, but only time will tell really. But definitely an area to keep an eye on. And in terms of Euro Aussie, so Euro Aussie is an interesting one. We had a very aggressive reaction at the high, and that's definitely put me off the longs. Yep, Euro Aussie has been an uptrend, seeing higher highs and higher lows. But after the reaction we had at the high there, and their really aggressive move down, that has put me off looking to buy the pair. It tells me that the trend is tiring. It tells me that the trend is no longer seeing the strength sustained anymore. You know, we're not seeing really aggressive moves and then corrective pullbacks. We're seeing aggressive moves and aggressive sell-offs. This is kind of giving us an inverse V-shaped pattern, which is a reversal pattern. So with that move in mind, I do think price is likely to come back and revisit support at 1.767, which is this low. And I do think we can probably see a bit of a bounce there just because it's such a key level, and we're probably likely to see a reaction. But I wouldn't be betting on a continuation or anything big. It would be more so a reaction. I'm expecting profit taken at that area. So I'm expecting naturally a bounce. I wouldn't be surprised if we later go and break through the zone. So with Euro Aussie, the only opportunity I see that makes sense is the low here. It is kind of a flat market now anyway, so buying as low as possible makes a lot of sense to me, and this is a really significant level for a buy. So again, let's see if we can get there, react well. I do think it would be a smart place for a buy, but I'm not expecting anything big. Maybe we do, but I wouldn't necessarily bet in it. This trend isn't worth betting on for a continuation. Very, very flat, struggling to get back to highs, really aggressive sell-off there. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I do think eventually we will probably sell off. So that's kind of where my mind is longer term. But yeah, short term, I do think there's at least a bounce at this low, and you know we'll go from there. Okay, so hopefully that has made some sense. We'll go through natural gas next for Annie. Have I missed out a pair? Don't think so. Yeah, we'll go for natural gas next. Aussie CAD in the 15. Okay, we can take a look. Stress relief, CAD seat Jeff. We'll add that to the list as well. Well, luckily, don't need English for the language of price action. That's a whole different language altogether. Okay, so let's go through natural gas. So it's been a while since I've actually looked at natural gas. I don't trade it, but sometimes I keep a tab on it. So with this one, we've seen, okay, a nice rally there. I still do think we are likely to head lower longer term. I'm looking at this as like another one of these rallies where we just fall flat in our face soon onwards. So I do think price is likely to continue lower and eventually come back to these areas. But I need to be patient because price has just taken out some key lows and looks like we're having somewhat of a pullback after that. So as we do approach kind of these areas, I do think that's where the lower high is likely to form and where we can probably see another lower high and see the next drop. So that's a location which I'll keep an eye on. This is more for like a swing idea. I'm not too sure on your time horizon if you're looking for an intraday trade or you're looking for like a longer term play. If you are looking for a longer term play, then this is where my focus would be. Anywhere between 3.4, 3.6 really. That would be a place where I would expect another lower high to form. One of these, 2, 3, and then a drop lower. So if that's your longer term play, keep an eye on that. Of course, that could still take a while to develop, but definitely something to keep an eye on. In terms of the current momentum, it is quite bullish. And if you are kind of intraday, then I would suggest bullish would be the best kind of opportunity. Maybe another push to fill that gap there. More or less have filled it, but I think a little bit is missing. If you can push back down, reject well, sort of like a bull flag, I think this could be a smart place for a buy, and that could be a nice trade again for the day, back to highs, maybe onto the zone we spoke about. But there is a lot of bullish momentum right now, and it looks like we have reversed this bearish trend to our left. That structure has been broken, and now we're seeing higher lows. So the plan would be looking to continue that. I would say we are looking quite tight, so I wouldn't necessarily be looking to target that level outright. If I could get a buy here, it would be more so just to take it back to highs, because I wouldn't be surprised if you do start to stumble and roll back over again. All those wicks and tide candles would put me off for a bigger move. But yeah, I would say natural gas still quite bullish. We've got that longer term sell idea to keep in mind, but unless you're kind of already in a buy, I would wait for price to sell off again and then hopefully take some buys. As long as we stay above this area, we could even come back and retest the low. As long as we stay above that, I would remain bullish and looking at buying opportunities as we go higher. As for Aussie CAD in the 15, I remember we spoke about this one yesterday. I quite like what I'm seeing with Aussie CAD. Have we hit resistance yet? Yeah, we have. So yeah, that breakout has done its job really. We've taken out highs really aggressively. Price was at resistance, and now we finally absolutely smashed into that level after that breakout. No real retest either. Price just broke out and decided it just wanted to make that move there. It would be nice to maybe catch a retest of that level. But yeah, what's the next plan now? I mean, I'll drop to the 15 in a second. I just want to look at the bigger time frames. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Aussie CAD makes a move back to the high here, to be honest. I'm looking at how we form support there. Once, twice, third time as well. This is definitely a very critical level of support. And the fact that we had a really aggressive sell-off and all that momentum's just reversed and now we're actually taking out the high makes me expect to see us continue this back to resistance, because if we were going to get a continuation, I would have expected that momentum to continue. I expected the pullback and a continuation. We didn't get that. So because this floor has really rejected price well, momentum failed, I think there's a greater chance we revisit the highs rather than we suddenly do push to the lows. And now we're seeing some real force as well. I think this could be the start of the move that really gets us trending. Of course, looking for buying opportunities at the moment, probably not the best play as we do approach resistance here. I think from a swing perspective, a nice opportunity would be a bigger pullback into this level and then looking for the retest for some longs, and that could be a really nice swing trade. As we approach resistance, especially on the 15-minute chart, I wouldn't be actively looking to take buys anymore. I did mention some buys on the way up. We spoke about this area here actually, which unfortunately we did miss there. It would be nice to actually come back and retest that zone. But sometimes the market isn't perfect. Sometimes you will miss opportunities like that. Sometimes by even smaller of a distance. But yeah, really nice move to the upside. Would you still be looking to actively buy Aussie CAD? No. Doesn't mean price can't go higher. Absolutely can. But this is just not optimal. Again, trading's all about quality over quantity. And I'm not saying this is a quality place for a buy, even though maybe price does rally through. If anything, this is an area to keep an eye out for some sells. So maybe if you can consolidate, see some strength lower, there could actually be some nice counter opportunities, counter trend opportunities to get involved with, which again might take a day or two to develop. But I wouldn't really be doing anything right now, because when we do approach these big levels of resistance on like a higher time frame, and you're very much looking at intraday opportunities, that's the time to kind of back away, because you're going to see a lot of noise here. Not only are people in lower time frames doing their business, but higher time frame players are looking to book profits, scale out of positions, maybe add to positions at these major areas. So I would be more cautious on a 50-minute chart, especially when we're getting there for the first time. Allow price to develop. Is it going to break through? Is it going to react and turn around? Is it going to maybe consolidate? I want to find out a little bit more about what we're going to do in the 15 and then get into a trade rather than do any business as soon as we get there. because you could see a lot of noise. And like I said, zooming out to the daily chart, this is a pretty critical level. We sold off very, very aggressively from this area. So I want to see price, how it does maneuver, maybe for a day, and then we can make a more kind of confident decision as to what we want to do. So I wouldn't say there's much to take there. Unless you're already in a buy position, then congrats, really nice move. If you're looking to get into anything, I wouldn't personally. I would at least wait for some build up there to know if we are breaking through this level or respecting. It's too early to say in both regards, really. But I do think longer term, we're likely to trend back to this area. So from a swing perspective, I'm looking at bigger pullbacks and buys. CAD Chef, we can take a look at next for stress relief. DMARM in 4 AGA by 2. Oh, okay. You're looking to take a pound Aussie buy. I didn't get the lingo there for a second, but you're looking to take a buy. I think that's what you mean. Yeah, I mean, it's at a great place for it as well. It's at a great place for it. It's at the low of the range. If price is going to reject the low of the range, then of course we're going to see a big move to the upside, hopefully to the opposite end of the range. And of course, if price breaks out, that puts to bed the bullish bias, and now we're looking at shorts. So pretty much black and white at that level. It's make or break. So just keeping a close eye, seeing how price does develop. It's too early to say if we are going to bounce, at least in my opinion anyway. But yeah, there could be some nice buys in the next maybe couple of days. CAD Chef. So CAD Chef looking really bearish. I believe we're at all-time lows. I think we are. Yes, we are all-time lows. So CAD Chef is just melting right now. It looks like CAD is quite weak. And CHF quite strong, I believe, as well. But yeah, market just falling. So the only thing to do here is short, really. Of course, at all-time lows, I do expect a really big buy opportunity to come into play soon, because we're not going to be at all-time lows forever. Price is going to correct. Because if you think about it, if price is at all-time lows, that means that there's a lot of selling pressure, a lot of people actively selling selling the market. But when you do get to all-time lows, what's the profit-taking situation? There will, of course, be some players looking to hold for maybe a long-term position, a fundamental play. But people who are kind of more trading the chart and even fundamentals as well, probably looking to take their profit, because they're expecting naturally a pullback to happen. And yeah, I do expect profit to be taking and eventually CAD Chef to make a recovery. But I need evidence of that happening first. And evidence would be some bullish structure happening, and then we can start to bet on some higher lows. And that could be a very nice trade to take, which is probably maybe still a couple of weeks away from forming. At the moment, the only thing I can see is bearish momentum and key levels breaking to the downside. So naturally, if we could see a pullback to retest this level, I do think we can catch a nice short and at least trade it back to the prior low. Let's say if we do pull back from there, that will of course naturally be a healthy target to look for. Market still seeing consistent lower highs, still seeing momentum. This was a very strong level, which price retested numerous times. We broke through that with ease, really, with those two candles. So I would suggest a retest and a continuation, but not looking for anything crazy. I do think that big bullish reversal is on the cards soon. And if you can get it back to the lows, that would be a good trade anyway. But yeah, I do expect to see a reversal, but it's way, way too early for that. So if you are looking at buys, I would just be a bit cautious. The buys will come. We're not going to be at all-time lows forever, but not now. Where was I? Okay, so we'll go through. What's up, Malik? I'm not sure if I said hi. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Pound CAD, yes, Raheel, we can take a look at that as well. Appreciate it, Bashi. Yeah, guys, drop a like if you guys are enjoying the stream. Subscribe to the channel as well, and of course, drop any chats, any comments Any pairs you're looking at, feel free to share it and we shall take a look. Tomorrow's a big day, 10 a.m. ETUS releasing preliminary versions and jobs data. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. 450 to 950. Wow, that's a big move. Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting. I'm pretty sure we got CPIs. Or was that next week? Pretty sure it's this week. Nope. Is it this week? Oh yeah, it's this week. It's Thursday. I thought today was Wednesday. Yeah, Thursday CPI as well, and ECB as well. Interest rate decision. I did not see that. I mean, I'm not in any euro pairs, so not too concerned. But yeah, that will be interesting. That will be interesting. Today at 3 p.m. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, non-farm payroll annual revision. I'm not too sure what I'm expecting from that, to be honest. I mean, I am in dollar CAD, so I am in the firing line. But hey, I'm always in the firing line with my trades. Yeah, CPI Thursday, PPI tomorrow. Yeah. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Going to be a big day Thursday. Yeah, should be interesting. We'll have a bit of drama, don't we? That's what makes the markets interesting. Anyway, let's take a look at. Was it pound CAD? Yeah, pound CAD. Okay, so GBP CAD looks like we're trying to break to the upside here. Actually, let me just use the rectangle tool. This is essentially our resistance of the high of the trend, and if price can break through this, we could be onto another bullish leg similar to this. We could be seeing a repeat of that. So I do actually expect us to break to the upside as well. I do think pound CAD, pound USD likely to break to the upside. They're very similar pairs. They do tend to move together and they kind of go into similar phases as well. When they consolidate together, they trend bearish together, trend up together. And that's because USD and CAD are quite similar pairs as well. But yeah, I do think we are likely to see a break to the upside. But again, we'll believe it when we see it. Let's wait for the breakout, not jump the gun. At the same time, there could be some selling opportunities at this level. But we do need to see some reactions. At the moment, not seeing much bearish pressure enter the market. We are still quite bullish. We are slowing down and becoming a little bit more corrective. But I want to see some wicks starting to build up. I want to see price maybe start to consolidate a little bit, maybe similar to what we did over there, and then start to show some momentum shifting. That would be a really nice opportunity for a short. And again, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm not expecting a crazy sell-off, but I do think we can at least see a bounce, at least see a reaction, because it's such a significant level. I do think it can at least give us a move lower. And let's say if we do get the breakout, and it becomes very, very simple. Breaking of key resistance, looking for this to act as support. Hopefully can get a retest of that, and then expecting another continuation of that momentum. As long as we stay above, expecting us to trend higher. So pound CAD, I am leaning towards the bullish side of things, but let's wait for the breakout first. If, of course, we don't get the breakout and price does find resistance here, we'll keep an eye on that. There could be some selling opportunities. We are at resistance. At the moment, so selling opportunities are still valid, but let's wait for price to signal that to us. And then, of course, if we do get the breakout, then it becomes pretty simple, looking for pullbacks, looking for retest, and looking to follow that trend, really. So I am pretty bullish, but yeah, need to be patient. Same thing with pound USD as well. Need to be patient for the breakout. So yeah, that's kind of my take on pound CAD. If I missed a pair, I don't think I have. If someone said something and I haven't looked at it yet, just let me know. Hoping for weak data, yeah. I sniff a tree. Yeah, I did not mean to say that at all. My mouth, my brain weren't working together. Lebsy, what's up, my man? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, we can take a look at euro pound, no problemo. Malik oil as well, we can take a look at too. Silver, gold, dollar CHF. Did not see that comment. Cheers, Bashi. I did miss that comment. Dollar CHF, gold, silver. Yes, we can take a look at, and euro pound and oil as well. No problem. Yeah, I appreciate it, Bashi. That actually did help because I actually missed that chat. Anyway, so we'll take a look at dollar CHF. So dollar CHF, really bearish, really bearish. Really nice moves to the downside, and looks like we're not too far from these lows now. 0.78718. So it looks like price is just going to go and sweep those lows and continue the trend. We have formed really nice lower highs here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I did say it would be nice to pull back again this week into this structure and perhaps form another lower high. That would be like the optimal place for a sell, continuing this kind of counter trend line at play. So that would have been a nice opportunity, but we've just been a bit too weak this week, and we've just continued selling off. So if we're looking for opportunities for dollar CHF, it would be more intraday pullbacks. I like this area, brief pause there. Of course, we had a lot of momentum, which broke structure, slight pause, and then we saw the continuation. I would suggest the pullback towards that area, then looking for opportunities off the back of that, especially maybe on like an hourly or a 30-minute chart. Maybe even 15 could make some sense there as well. But you already got a lot of selling pressure. There's a lot of momentum in the market, so we're not looking for much. We're looking for a small counter trend and then some selling opportunities, and a retest of this area could provide that for us. But we're not too far away now from targets. We are testing support here as well, so that might give us a bit of a bounce. So maybe that pullback does come into play because we are reacting with that low. But yeah, I'm very bearish with this one, and a push to that wick low is where I do see price eventually ending up. And then we'll analyze from there, because we might see price tank through that. We could see price start to slow down and maybe start to form another higher low and reverse. Depending how we react will help, determine our bias. But for now, more downside. This opportunity is still valid. So if for whatever reason we do see a bigger pullback, still keep an eye on that. I still do like that opportunity. As long as price doesn't take out this high and break structure, I would retain that bearish bias. And yeah, expecting us to sell off back to lows. In terms of gold and silver, it's just same old, really. A lot of bullish momentum, and price is looking really aggressive right now. So I would suggest just keeping it intraday and looking for those smaller pullbacks and some buying opportunities. At the beginning of the stream, I mentioned maybe we do pull back to retest the lows, and from there you might be able to find some nice buying opportunities. I think that would make sense. Of course, maybe price just rallies from here onwards. If that's the case, and unless you're already in a position, then great. If not, it might be one that gets away. But because of how bullish we are, because of how consistent we are with the higher highs and higher lows, you're just looking to try and pick the lows, and pick the pullbacks, especially on an intraday time scale. So if we can pull back to 36, 38, that will be the best case scenario for me. And then we see price continue back to highs, hopefully, and continue further. As long as we don't break structure, which is this low, if price was to suddenly sell off and break structure, that would be a little bit of an alarm bell. Not to say that, okay, I'm expecting gold to sell off a cliff, but that might mean that, okay, we do see a bit more of a sustained pullback, which could lead to some nice pullbacks, or maybe like a 4-hour chart potentially, maybe closer to these areas or something like that. So if you do break structure, we'll keep an eye on that. But for now, structure's still intact, momentum's still intact. So in terms of an opportunity, I would wait for a push back to support and hopefully some longs off that low. And silver's actually a bit stuck right now. I am still, just as bullish on silver as I am with gold, but silver we are fading at highs, so it's a little bit more awkward. There's a few opportunities I'm looking at. The one I really like is the bigger pullback if that was to come. We are very choppy in this consolidation. This could be maybe a high, and if price does break the consolidation to the downside, I quite like the idea of a larger pullback, retesting this structure. This was a lovely breakout when we saw it happen, but we never had the retest, so it would be a fresh level, fresh air of demand, coming back for the first time. Hopefully try and catch another one of these higher lows, and then of course swings back to highs and probably beyond that. That would be the best case scenario for more of a swing idea. I think the likelihood is that we probably do just break to the upside, really. Seeing the strength in gold, seeing the strength in silver, I wouldn't be surprised if we just get the breakout suddenly. Maybe with a bit of news over the next couple of days, we might see that happen. And then, of course, the plan very much is looking for pullbacks, perhaps the retest of the high, and just betting on the trend continuing. So silver and gold really bullish right now. High time frames backing up as well. Momentum is still there. Silver is a little bit flat because of the range, so we do need to see price break that. There is an opportunity for a bigger pullback if price does want to have that bigger pullback, and if we do see price break the range to the downside. But we're not going to discuss too much about that because, yeah, we're nowhere near that area. But that's probably the best opportunity right now. And break at the highs, then betting on the continuation. So, yeah, waiting patiently for that for gold and silver, but naturally still very bullish on both those currency pairs. Not currency pairs, are they? Metals. Lebsy, Euro pound oil we should take a look at next as well. I appreciate that, Bashi. Appreciate it, my man. A bit too weak this week as a bar. Might need to pivot into songwriting. A bit too weak as... Yeah, the thing is, I've actually said that so many times. It's been weak this week. I say that quite a lot, especially my weekly analysis. Because I'm recapping the previous week and I'm like, okay, it's been weak this week. And because it sometimes gets my nerves, I switch up the words and say it's just... and we've seen a downtrend or we've seen price move down to avoid saying those two words together. But yeah, it is a bar. Okay, so let's take a look at Euro pound, and then we'll go through oil. So Euro pound, not a lot to report on in the past 24 hours. Again, I am still pretty bearish on this one, but that's more of a long-term bias. At the moment, we are really flat, to be honest. We've got relative equal lows here, equal highs, and the market hasn't really progressed much in the past month, really. We've been trapped between these two levels. Of course, prices come back to highs as well. That's played its part. The reason why I said I'm bearish longer term is because I do think we are forming some type of top. And if price can break to the downside out of this range, I do think we can see a similar trend like we saw on the way up, on the way back down, and probably coming back to the lows there. So you got a lovely bullish trend, you got your consolidation, your reversal, and then hopefully a nice trend back to lows. And this is where I wouldn't mind hopping into some shorts, because I think this is where the quality opportunities do form. We'll have some momentum to follow. Maybe a breaking retest of this zone as well will be very nice. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I'm not convinced about this trend continuing. It looks really tired. We saw some strength there. We fell flat in our face. We saw some strength there as well, flat in the face. And then was trying to push up. We've seen a little bit of strength, but even that's not continuing well. So I'm not convinced that we are suddenly going to get a continuation. That could happen, of course, but I wouldn't bet on that. I do think that the trend is tiring. This is likely going to be a top, and we probably are going to sell off. So in terms of opportunities, you could be patient and wait for the reversal to happen. You know, really get the confirmation first and then talk about pullbacks afterwards. Of course, that might still not be for another week or two, maybe even longer. Would I be looking to try and sell here? No, not really. Maybe a double top there could look good. Try and predict the next lower high forming. You've got one over there, second, perhaps, you know, that's your third. But it's more so in a range, just not really effective. It's not really a high quality opportunity. So personally, I would stay away. Like I said, I think waiting for the breakout will be the better opportunity. And if you are looking for longs, there may be a bounce at the low again. Let's say if price does sell off back into the low, there may be a short-term bounce off the low because it is a very significant level, and we are likely probably to bounce there, especially if you can get some confirmations, some wicks into that zone. There probably is a likely bounce, but still, I do see the bigger move heading lower. So that's really what I do see happening with Euro Pound. Yeah, I'm doing fine, Bashi. Maybe just maybe didn't get enough sleep, so my words are not coming out right. But I know you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. Hopefully. Okay, so oil next. Oil's been interesting. I'm pretty sure oil's been looking... Yeah, I'm not a fan of oil, to be honest. Not a fan. Coming into the week, I was pretty bearish. I like the closure we had last week. Really nice and bearish. Nice shooting star pattern. Dramatic wick to the upside. Basically, having a break and retest of this level. Support, broke through, resistance. Lovely piercing wick through the zone last week. And then, of course, we pull back and close bearish. So, my initial thoughts coming into this week was we could see a push down here. Of course, not in 1 week, but that's kind of the trajectory I see oil taking up in terms of the next big swing. However, I did want to see price break through this low here. The fact that we are bouncing at the low is not really a good sign for the sellers. It could be a double bottom taking shape. If we did break through the low, then simply all we have here is a continuation of this bearish trend, and then my next bet would be trying to find the next pullback and the continuation of that same trend, and a push to those lows looks pretty reasonable. Because we are bouncing at the low, it does mean I have to be patient with shorts, because I'm not going to try and look for continuation if a market fails at high. Let's say if you've got a bullish trend, right, and price gets back to the high and it fails to create a higher high. Would I then be trying to find a pullback of that trend to still keep buying it? You could do, but it wouldn't be the best scenario. It wouldn't be the best situation. Price failing at highs is not a sign of continuation, it's not a sign of strength. It could continue, but you have a much better probability if price does create a new high and they're looking for a pullback, because you're still seeing a healthy trend. And of course, doesn't mean every time you look for a pullback it will continue. Sometimes it will fail. But on average, you will have a lot more success with these type of situations versus these type of situations. And that's exactly what we got here. Price pushing into a low, failing to break the low. It's a sign that we are running out of steam a little bit. I'd rather just be patient, wait to see if we do eventually break the low, and then look for the next pullback afterwards. I think I'd have a lot more joy with that opportunity than trying to keep betting on this short, especially when lows are being intact. So the way I see oil right now is more of a flat pair. Equal lows, not really equal highs, but we haven't really progressed anywhere. Especially if we do see strength pick up again, this could turn into somewhat of a range. So I'm kind of waiting for price either to break the high here, and that will be a very bullish signal for me, because then that double bottom will be confirmed. Then the plan would be looking at something like this and a continuation. Maybe a retest of the high or retest of this area. And of course, if I do see price eventually break the low, I know the trend is still healthy, and my expectations will be the continuation of that, maybe even the retest of the low. So I'm a bit more neutral now. I still do have a bearish bias because we are respecting resistance, but I don't have an opportunity to trade that bias, which is the key thing really. Doesn't really matter what your bias is. Is there a good trade available? If not, then you're sitting on your hands really. And that's the situation I do find myself with oil. I do expect us to head lower. I just don't really have a quality opportunity for a short, and that's really what I'm waiting for. Good morning, Bongani. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Hey, appreciate it. Yep, I'm pretty sure everyone's doing good. Hopefully they are. No problem, Lebsy. Happy to help, my man. Yeah, I know, Basha, I know. Don't worry. I'll get some good sleep tonight. I'll come back fresh tomorrow. What if we retest 6450? It's not clean, though. It's not clean. Because, yes, if we retest 6450, it's coming back to resistance. It could still respect it. But still, I don't really see this as a clean opportunity either, because market structure is still very important to me. So even if price was to come back and test that level, yeah, we could bounce, but would I bet on a continuation? Probably not. I'd rather look to see if price can continue through highs and then look for pullbacks to retest that level, or even another piece of structure lower down. I would have a lot more confidence in that buy than simply coming back here, even after price has now failed at highs as well. So yeah, sure, 64.50 can give you a bounce. I just wouldn't necessarily bet on a big continuation. Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for as well. If you're looking for a trade for like a day or two, sure, I think you can catch that. If you're looking for a big swing back to lows, I'm not that confident really. Like I said, I'd rather wait for price to show continuation and then jump on that momentum. Because there's still a long way to go. If price is going to sell off, there's no need to be the first person to the market. You know, if price is going to continue down and continue this bearish trend, well, then there's a very good chance we end up back at these lows at 55 or 56. And that's a pretty big distance between where current price is and where we are expected to be. So even if I find a trade somewhere down here, for example, after a pullback, you can still really take advantage of a nice move. Of course, it would be better to be higher up, but if it means that you're taking lower quality opportunities or just not looking quite there, I'd rather wait for the opportunity that happens a little bit later on. That's just my take as well. Okay, yep, we can take a look at Euro Yen for you, no problem. Yen shorts 173, okay, nice. Okay, dollar CAD looking to go short before New York session. Okay, I'm actually already short on dollar CAD, so looks like we've got the same bias for that. But yeah, I can take a look at Euro Yen. I haven't really gone for any of the yen pairs this morning. We can go for a bunch of them actually because they're looking a tad interesting. I'm seeing some momentum on them. As in pound yen, sure, we can take a look as well. So yeah, with Euro Yen, yeah, we have some momentum here to speak about. Really strong push to the downside as price gets the highs and drops pretty significantly. So what's the plan here with Euro Yen? Well, I have been pretty bullish on Euro Yen. I have been looking for us to return back to these highs. I still do expect us to do that. But I have to admit, after seeing that reaction, I will probably wait for the daily candle to close before really digesting this, because this could pull back and leave a wick, and that will change my opinion. But let's say if we do close bearish like this, that would not necessarily make me bullish anymore, but I would definitely pause that bullish bias, because now we're failing at highs really aggressively. And just off the discussion we just had with oil, if price is going to continue a trend but fails at highs, sure, the trend still may continue, but that just doesn't give you a lot of confidence to keep looking to actively buy the market, buy the pair. So if anything, there actually might be some intraday shorts to look into. Something like this. Back into some structure maybe. That could actually be a nice short. I wouldn't be looking for anything crazy. I wouldn't be looking for a reverse or anything. Maybe at best the push into this low. But I do think there could be some shorts off the back of that, especially seeing that force. I would still wait for the daily candle to close to really confirm the momentum for the day. Because again, if it does pull back and we do see a wick on the day, that does lower the probability. But it has been a very significant reaction off the high, I must admit. There might be some more downside, at least to this area. And then we'll go from there. So yeah, Euro Yen, I think there's a bit more room to the downside. I'm not confident about a huge sell-off. I'll still wait for more development before I do go into that. But sure, over the course of maybe another day, I do think we can drop, and we've got a nice area of demand below us. It looks like price is probably going to be attracted towards that area anyway. So it looks like we're likely to come back and retest it. And then we'll go from there. Maybe price does put another higher low in. We'll have to monitor price to get a bit more detail about that. But for now, really strong drop. I do think we're likely to continue lower. And if you're looking to take some entries, I know you said you're in an entry, but if anyone's looking for an entry, that would be the place for it. Unless you're already in the position, of course. As for dollar CAD, I am currently short dollar CAD. I did jump into this one yesterday. Haven't really seen the momentum I'm looking for just yet, but I'm still pretty confident with the position, hence why I took the trade. But I do like where we're trading. I do like where we're trading to. And I do like the reaction we had. I took this more so on the 8-hour chart. Again, 8-hour, 4-hour. Sometimes I do chop and change between the two. If the 4-hour is not looking quite good, I might push the 8-hour chart. Not much difference between them. It's just two candlesticks combined that creates the 8-hour, but sometimes it can be a little bit cleaner. And in this case, it was. And you can see very nice move to the downside, creating that supply zone. Price has gone back to retest it, and I'm basing the trade off that zone. Price has a nice corrective pullback, implying that this is more of a pullback than a reversal. Price has been respecting the zone really well. Really nice wick to the upside. Originally coming to the week, I was a little bit cautious because of this wick to the downside. It was quite aggressive, and I was being quite cautious. I wanted to see more evidence of price rejecting this level, but the following candle did print a nice wick to the upside as well. And that gave me a bit more confidence in this zone, and of course with the strength, a couple candles later, that's what provided the entry for me, and I managed to put my stop loss above the high. So I am looking to target this area overall, but this would be my first target because it has provided some nice support recently, and we could do that again as well. So I do need to be able to manage the trade if we do get to that level. Then of course if you can see a breakout, great. Hopefully you can look for the bigger target. But yeah, I'm pretty bearish on dollar CAD. I'm bearish on USD. It looks like the DXY has picked its direction, breaking out of this range here. Let me move this out of the way. Breaking out that range there. So I do expect the dollar to fall to those lows. So that should help with USD being weak. The only question is, CAD's a bit weak as well. So you kind of got two weak currencies there. So it's probably not the best currency pair to trade with dollar right now. But in terms of the opportunity, in terms of the technicals, it did look the best. So that's why I'm in that position right now. And hopefully CAD can maybe see some strength. I do think it's probably due a pullback though. So I do think that will happen soon. But yeah, in terms of the technicals, really nice supply zone prices pull back into. Higher time frames look really good as well. We've got that natural momentum on the higher time frames back in the trade as well. Price has been selling off pretty much throughout the year, and looks to me that we've had another correction here. I do expect eventually us to continue lower, so do have that natural trend supporting the trade. And most importantly, we've got a very, very interesting level which price has recently come back to retest. As you can see, numerous reactions at this level and pretty significant reactions as well. So I do think there's a world where dollar CAD reacts with this level and we absolutely tank to the downside over the next few weeks. I'm kind of betting on that happening. Not so much looking to try and hold it for a massive move because that could take months to play out. Dollar CAD can be quite choppy at some times. So I'm not necessarily looking for a crazy move, but a push back to that low isn't necessarily asking for too much. And at the very least, to push to this low here, this could turn into somewhat of a range. So I don't mind locking in some gains there and then maybe re-entering later on. But yeah, I like the entry. Nice reaction at that zone. We'll see how that trade does progress. If you're looking for entries for dollar CAD, I probably would, let's say if I wasn't in a position, I probably would wait for another rally back into the highs and wait for another rejection to hop in. And then that would be my entry. Because right now, price is at support. It's a little bit flat now. We didn't really see the momentum through the level. We're kind of just respecting support, doing a whole lot of nothing right now. So what would be nice would be another rally into resistance and then some more strength coming back down and then hopping into that. Then hopefully we can actually see that momentum take us through support into these lows. So if you're looking for entries, I think that would be nice. But that would, of course, be after New York. That might be an entry for tomorrow. But yeah, I am bearish on dollar CAD and I do see price falling. And in terms of pound yen, yeah, pound yen, of course, another bearish reaction as well at the high. Great to see. What do I expect for pound yen? Not much, to be honest. It's just ranging, so I haven't really been too interested with price. I do like the idea of price breaking to the upside. That's still kind of what I'm expecting price to do, but we'll see. The yen's going to play a big role in that. I think yen is seeing some strength at the moment, so we'll see if that's the case. But I am looking to see if maybe we can make a move back to the high here. If we do break through the resistance here, that then becomes the next obvious target for pound yen. And that's the move I've been waiting for a number of weeks, but we're still struggling at highs. We're still rejecting it. So I mean, at the moment for pound yen, we've just pushed into highs, we gapped into the highs more specifically. It looks like we're coming back down to support again. So unless you were short up here, I'm not seeing much of an opportunity now for pound yen. Now would be the worst time to do anything really. There might be some intraday opportunities there, but I really wouldn't look too much into that because of how choppy price is. So yeah, I kind of see price doing that. We'll see if we bounce again. There is support if we do break through that. Oh, did not mean to do that. There is support down at these lows here. If we do manage to break through that, then perhaps we could push into 195.386. But yeah, we are trapped within that range. And just looking for the range to continue until it doesn't really. But in terms of opportunities, it would be at the high or the low of the range, not in the middle. I don't see much purpose or much use of price when it is in the middle. It's the worst place to be. So yeah, hopefully that has made some sense there. No problem, Malik. Happy to help, my man. Hey, appreciate it. Please like and sub, guys, if you're enjoying the content. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell, share with your friends. All of that does really help the channel out. And if you're enjoying it, you know, it does really help out. So I do really appreciate it. No problem. Happy to help. So could we say dollar CAD is making a head and shoulder? Potentially, I did keep an eye on that. I mean, it's not so much the pattern I'm trading myself, but it's like, okay, it looks like there's a head and shoulder pattern. Great. That just adds a bit of confidence to the trade. The pattern I'm really trading is just a continuation of this move. That's really what I'm focused on. But it also does look like a head and shoulder could be forming as well. So there's that. And of course, this would be the neckline of the pattern. Typically, if I'm trading a head and shoulder, I do like it when the shoulder resistance does come into play again. So if price can... Didn't draw it too well there, did I? And there we go. So yeah, I do like it when the left shoulder becomes the resistance or the support for the right shoulder. That's always a nice confluence, and it's a nice place to put a stop loss as well. Because essentially what you're saying is resistance held, it had a fake out, and then it's come back to retest it. You put your stop loss back above the high, and then you're looking for the continuation. So that's kind of my interpretation of the head and shoulder. Resistance, faked it, now redeemed it, now you're looking for the continuation. In this case, not quite so. It's still got a bit of room to the upside there. I mean, I'm still bearish on dollar CAD as long as we don't take out this high. So even if price does rally one more time to resistance, I'll take the loss there and hopefully look for re-entries to get back in the trade. If price does rally through that as well, then maybe I was in the wrong direction there, and I'll probably rethink things at that point. But yeah, the head and shoulder is in play, and that would be a neckline just below it. But yeah, I wasn't intentionally trading the head and shoulder pattern, but it looks like one is forming. OPFX, good morning, good afternoon from Nigeria. Wicked, welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing good. Any pairs you're looking at, feel free to drop it in the chat. We can take a look. Money. Isn't that the goal, my man? Isn't that the goal? But again, don't want to focus on that too much because that will distract you from trading itself. Because trading isn't about money. It's about trading the market. Money's the byproduct. You can win some or lose some, but it's the byproduct of the actions in the market. So don't get too distracted by that, because of course that's the real reason we're all here pretty much. Because if you couldn't make money from it, I don't think many of us will still be looking to trade, to be honest. Maybe some people do it for the love of the game, but it is, of course, the most important thing, really. But you need to be focusing on the markets. You need to be focused on the charts, focus on actually placing good trades. And, of course, you'll be paid as a result of that, which easier said than done, but it's definitely It's definitely what will take a lot of the emotions away, a lot of the extra stress away, and just make trading just a much more of a simple process. Losses will be a lot easier to take. Wins won't feel like hallelujah. It won't feel like you're on top of the world. It'll just be like another part of the process, and trading just becomes a lot simpler. When you think about money too much, everything has so much meaning. Every pip in your favor, every pip against you, feels painful or ecstasy. It's just not a good place to be in, really. And trading's not really fun actually at that point, because it just becomes very stressful. But when you kind of just trading just to take a good trade and just to complete the process, continue the process, it can be quite enjoyable. Still stressful though. Still chilling, no trade yet. Yeah, I mean, if there's no trade, nothing to do. I mean, this is the first trade I've taken since last week, Tuesday maybe. Because I didn't take, I know, week before that Thursday, because I didn't take a trade last week. I had Aussie yen, which I was holding through last week, and I closed on Friday, but I didn't actually take a new trade that last week. I had that trade running from the week prior. So this is my first trade in probably a week and a half maybe. Funny thing is, you might not take a trade for a while, and then you take 3 trades in one day potentially. That's the markets for you. Pound CAD, yeah, we can take a look at that, no problem. Okay, Bank of Japan said keep rates to change to September 90. Okay, is that why we got the move? Because I was a bit confused. I was like, I didn't know there was yen news. As you think about money, if you have lost so much and just focus on the craft, how can one move forward from that? Good question. Because of course, again, I say don't focus on money, but that's the vision, that's the goal to strive to. I don't think you will ever, unless you're well off and you don't need money from trading, I think that's the only point you can actually not think about money whilst trading. Because even I think about money with whilst trading as well. I keep it to a bare minimal intentionally. I have to actively force myself not to, but it's easy to get stuck in that loop. So unless you kind of just completely well off and you don't need money from trading, you just do it because you like trading, that's probably the only situation where you actually probably wouldn't think about money. But especially when you have taken a big loss and then you're trying to focus back on the charts, very, very difficult to do that. I think the best way to get yourself back on the market is don't trade live for a while, because of course you've taken a loss. If you're going to place another live trade, your initial thought is making back the loss. Even if it's not conscious, it'll be subconsciously. So go and trade demo for a good 6 months. I know that sounds long and tiring, and you're not going to make any money in those 6 months, but it will do you so well, because the next time you do step back in the live markets, of course, you will have some time to adjust because you need to get back in the rhythm of actually placing live trades, but it won't be from the mentality of making back the loss you made. Maybe you still do have an element of that, but be more so putting into practice what you've learned over the last 6 months. And then you'll be focused more on the chart, more on actually taking a good trade, more actually doing what you've been practicing the past 6 months. If you take a huge loss in the market and next week you're back into it, 9 times out of 10 you're thinking of the loss you just took last week or whatever. If you do spend some time away from the charts and fully focus on the craft, get back into actually creating a process for yourself you can trust and actually actively trade, then that will shift your focus a bit more to the skill set, a bit more to actually trading well to the best of your ability. Of course, the loss will still be there. You can't ignore it. I don't think there's anything you can do to actually completely forget it. But I think that's a good way. Take some time away from live markets, not live markets, but live account, fully focus on the craft again. 6 months is a good amount of time, and then you can ease yourself back into live trading. And I think that would at least help you. But going back straight in, near impossible. So completely ignore the loss. Okay, let's take a look at pound CAD. What's up, Pavinator? Welcome to the stream, my man. Yeah, Aussie dollar is loving life right now. Very, very bullish. USD weak. I think Aussie's a little bit strong as well. So a recipe for bullishness there. As for pound CAD, so pound CAD is looking really bullish right now. It is testing resistance, so it's not necessarily, okay, it's bullish, let's buy. This is probably the worst time to be looking to buy pound CAD right now. I do think prices are likely to break to the upside though, so I do still see more upside for pound CAD, but let's wait for it to actually come into life first. Let's actually wait for the breakout, then we can speak about the pullbacks and then the buying opportunities shortly afterwards. And then we can look to follow that momentum. On the other hand, we are testing resistance at the end of the day, and still very much could reject this level and actually sell off from here. So I would suggest keep an eye how we maneuver within this area. Do we start to form a lot of wicks? Do we start to consolidate? Do we start to slow down and start to see strength in the opposing direction? Well, if that's the case, there could be some nice selling opportunities. If not, if we just rally through, maybe see a strong close on the daily above this level, well, we know what's up. We know that price is likely breaking to the upside. As long as we stay above this area now, this is a bullish setup and we expect price to continue higher. So pound CAD, just keep an eye on how we operate this level. It's pretty black and white. We're either going to respect this level or break through. The past 3 times price has respected this level, or 4 if you count that area there as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we reject it for a 5th time, or maybe this time is the breakout. Listening to the candlesticks, listening to price action will help us understand what we're likely to do. At the moment, it's too early to say, but probably the next 24, 48 hours will probably show us what the likely move will be. And then we can either look for pullbacks and some longs and follow the trend and the breakout, or we're back rolling over again, and it could be another sell-off like we saw past couple of weeks. So too early to say on pound CAD, but definitely an area of interest to keep an eye on. Okay, where was we? Aussie dollar we'll take a look at next for Pavinator. Yeah, exactly, Bashi. That you can have a massive winner and then not do anything for the next week or so, and that's when you know when you're kind of trading with intention, because you're not so focused on just trying to find a trade just for trading's sake. It's more so, okay, there's a good trade, well, I need to make sure I'm there for it. Okay, there's no trade, I need to make sure I'm sitting cash and not doing anything I shouldn't be doing. And that's where the discipline and the process comes into play. Because it's not just strategy, it's also how you apply the strategy. No, I'm not in Aussie yen. I did get trailed out of Aussie yen last Friday. But it looks like we saw a bit of continuation. It hasn't really set the world alight, so I'm not regretting my exit just yet. Maybe we do continue. But I did have an entry here, and then my stop loss was trailed just underneath the low here. So actually NFP, when we had that reaction, actually did take me out of the position. But yeah, I mean, it went to plan really. The plan was get along here, hopefully trade it back to highs, give myself a little bit of room. Potentially I might catch a breakout. Of course, the breakout wasn't to be, but still a very decent move to catch. And then I was trailed out here on Friday. So pretty much just before the week closed, I was out the trade. So yeah, I'm done with Aussie yen for now. Dollar CAD is a buy. Please close the trades. I'll close the trade when it hits my stop loss. Idea to get a sell 0.66367 for down. Yeah, I can take a look at that. Again, it is really strong, but it definitely is still a key level where we can see a push down. So I can still see the shorts there for Aussie dollar, but I'm not looking for a crazy move. We can take a look at it in a second. Tried on the message yet, but the PA didn't give me an entry. Yeah, No entry, no trade. Say something else, being disciplined, so key. Of course. So you'll take a lot of nonsense positions in between. You can take a good trade, but if you take 5 poor trades after, then what's the point of taking the good trade? You want to take a good trade, then another good trade, then another good trade. Of course, you're not going to take every trade is going to be a good trade. There will be some slip-ups. We are human. You're going to make some daft decisions from time to time. Even the most disciplined individuals will make mistakes. No one's 100% on it. But if you're on it 95% of the time, you're doing yourself a service. If you're on it half the time, then yeah, you're going to take a good trade, then a bunch of poor ones, and then it's just going to cancel out the good work. And again, a good trade doesn't necessarily mean, a winner. A good trade can just mean you followed your plan very well, but of course, maybe it was as a losing position. Try dollar CHF buys forming weekly double bottom. I'm pretty bearish on dollar CHF for now. It could be a double bottom, but I need to actually get to support first. Jay Huntley, NAS, yeah, we'll take a look at that as well on the 15-2. Malik, always anticipate a loss before entering trades when I do. That's not bad. That's not a bad way to take to look into it. If I win, it's a bonus. All that to say, risk what you're comfortable losing. Of course. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had the reverse expectation, as when they do jump into the trade expecting it to be a winner, and then of course when it isn't, that's when it hurts the most. And of course, when it is a win, it's kind of like, yeah, I expected it to be a win, so there's no joy there. But if it's lost, that actually does hurt because it actually didn't go according to your plan. So the reverse psychology is actually a little bit more comfortable to digest. So I actually think it's not a bad way to look at it. I'm very neutral. I'll just take a position. Of course, I expect it to play out because that's the reason I took the trade. But I'm very aware that it can very much be a loser as well. And the key thing is to take a trade, and then if it does become a loser, you're not surprised. It's not like, oh my God, how did this position lose? Any position could lose. And of course, as long as the risk is managed, it's not detrimental. If it's a loss, but if it's a small loss, you live to fight another day. If it's a huge loss, then yeah, it might be time to pack the bags or open a new account, which is not great. But anyway, Aussie dollar. So yeah, we are approaching resistance, and 0.662 could be an area which we do sell off from. We are starting to tire as well. We did see some strength here, but it looks like we are starting to tire. We've had a really nice bullish leg, so naturally, as we do approach major resistance, I think there is a balance to be had. There is a bit of a down move to be had. Do I expect it to completely reverse? Not so much, because I'm pretty bearish on DXY. I do think there is still more weakness to be had on the dollar. Possibly you could see something like this though. I don't think that's so unrealistic. Even a push to this area, I think you can bet on. So it depends what you're looking for. Of course, we've only just arrived at this level, so it's still a bit early to say if we're going to reject. Need a bit more information there. Maybe we can fire some more wicks, see some strength. Then that could be a nice entry. This could be a nice target. That could be a nice target. Maybe we do fall further as well. That's kind of where the management comes into play. But that's probably where I'd be looking to target, because it is a major level resistance. I would say price is quite tired, so I do think we can bounce. But I think if dollar does maintain that weakness and does what I think it's going to do, which is fall to these lows here, then I do think Aussie dollar's bigger move probably does take us through that resistance at some point. Maybe not this week, maybe not straight away. We might pull back before that, but I do think price does eventually take out the highs there. So for now, sure, I think sells look good. Let's wait for evidence first. We've just arrived, so it's a bit early to say. But it is a smart place for a short, a smart place to put your stop loss above. And there are some healthy targets we can aim for, and then yeah, we'll go from there. But for now, it's still a place that makes sense for a short. Okay, so we'll go through NAS 100 for Jay Huntley. So with NAS, you say 15-minute chart? Yeah, 15. So NAS still looks pretty bullish. It still looks like we're likely to return back to highs. 23,942, I think we're likely to push back there. We're still seeing consistent higher highs and higher lows. I really like the double bottom price put in last week. Really aggressive sell, but we just turned on the dime and we're seeing some really nice strength. So I do think we're likely to return back to highs now. So if I was on the 50-minute time frame, I would actively looking to buy, although it is a little bit choppy here. We are smashing into resistance here, so it's probably not the best time to be trying to execute any longs. What would be nice though would be a solid break of that, and then a nice slow descend, a nice corrective descend, and then a buying opportunity off the back of that, because we've been very continuous with these high lows. I would suggest as long as we can stay above that trend line, the bullish bias makes sense. There's a world where we do sell off and then potentially go to the upside from there. If that's the case, then I would wait for price to come more so kind of to this kind of area before looking to take a long. But if this momentum does continue, then yeah, I'm waiting for a break, a retest, and then highs over there would be the target. If we are going to respect resistance, then 23,500 is where I would look to take a buy. Kind of look for a bigger double bottom there. But yeah, if momentum does continue, we break through resistance, breaking retest of the highs look good alongside with the trend line. And then yeah, a push back to highs. But for now, I am still very bullish on NAS. Lovely double bottom, momentum shifted, took out the high here. I think there's a very likely chance we do revisit the highs and probably go beyond that. But we are kind of stuck at resistance, so let's break through that. Let's put that behind us, and hopefully you can use it as support, and then bet on the continuation beyond that. So yeah, that is where I'm at with NAS 100. Hey, appreciate it, Bashi. Thank you. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It does really help out. And also share it with your friends and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams in the future. Most of the rate cut bets are priced in. It's time for bullish USD basket, USD's to oversold for bearish continuation. That could be the case. It might not be the case. Again, you don't want to speak in absolutes because you just don't know what's going to happen. But looking at the price action for the dollar, it is looking very, very weak right now and very, very tight. I do think eventually, you're right, I do think price will see that move higher because we are looking very kind of corrective in this manner. Of course, we saw the momentum previously in the year. Now it looks like price is becoming very corrective. So I do think eventually we will see that bigger pullback at some stage. But I'm not going to necessarily bet into that now. You know, I'll wait for price to maybe double bottom if it wants to, or create some new lows, then start to actually see some structure form. And this is when I start betting on that bullish move, and that's when I start finding some entries to take higher. Whilst price is still bearish and still really struggling on the weekly chart to sustain a move higher, look at the many wicks price is creating and printing to the upside. Not the sign of a market that is likely to push higher. We've got price support on the left. Now we're just finding a bunch of wicks into that zone. I do think we're likely to drop at least for this week, maybe the next week as well. And then maybe that longer term bullish bias does come into play and we do see price continue. But I would bet on the continuation for at least this week to get us back to 96.3. And then maybe, yeah, we do see that continue. Because I do agree, I do think we are quite tired and we are likely to push through. We've broke through some major lows as well. So that's another confluence why I do expect us to correct too. So longer term, yeah, I do think dollar strength will come in. But I think it's a bit too early to say it will come in now. Especially with all the rejection we're seeing, especially with the fact that we're still breaking support here. I do think we'll likely continue lower. At least in the short term. And then maybe long term, we do see price pick up some steam. Cheers, Bashi. Just got all the links there for everyone to see. Yeah, check it out, guys, if you are interested in following me in the socials as well. Twitter, Instagram. You can check me out. There's more content there as well. And updates if you are interested. And if you haven't checked out the Zen3 Perps platform yet, it is linked at the top of the chat as well. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go do so. We are running a competition very, very soon on that platform. You'll be able to trade cryptocurrencies on the Perps platform against other traders, and there will be cash prizes for best performing traders. In terms of the rules, parameters of the challenge, that will be updated very soon. But if you are interested, drop your email. Let me get the link to that. Actually, no, I've copied the link, haven't I? No, I haven't. Let me get the link to that. But yeah, it's a competition, just a bit of fun, nothing serious, free to participate in as well. And it will be on a demo environment as well, so it's not like you need to live capital at stake. It's just a bit of fun, get people trading on the platform as well. And if you do well, there'll be some rewards too. So if you're interested, drop your email in that Google form. I know, all the links. Got my life story all linked up there. I appreciate it, Bashi. Thank you, thank you. That is true when you mod the mod properly. Yeah, I appreciate it, my man. Yeah, so at the moment, only in one position. USD CAD shorts. I was in Aussie yen last week, but have exited that position. So now only in dollar CAD, and we'll see how this position gets going. There's no other pairs really which I'm looking to jump into. Yen pairs not quite there for me. Yeah, dollar pairs. I quite like pound USD buys, but again, I still need the breakout for that one. And I probably won't even enter it because I am shorting dollar CAD. So I got my hands tied really. I need dollar CAD to be break even first before I do get into another pair. Another USD pair, that is. I quite like Aussie CAD on the breakout, to be honest. So that is one pair I'll keep tabs on. I do think there's a lot of room to the upside for this. And since we've broken through very significant resistance, I do think there's a lot of distance for price to cover. I'm not necessarily looking to hold it that far, but I do think that's the room you've got to move into. So the plan really is looking for some pullbacks and more upside. So I quite like Aussie CAD in the breakout this week. Very, very nice momentum. And I quite like it if pound yen can break to the upside as well, but it looks like we're still in the range, still rejecting the highs. I'm not too sure what I'm expecting with the yen basket either as well. There we go, I kept typing Y. I'm not too sure what I'm expecting with the yen basket. Is the yen basket bottoming out? Possibly. Possibly. I could see this as like a impulse, somewhat of a exaggerated correction. I think if you can break out that neckline, we might see the continuation to the upside here. And of course, if that is the case, I kind of want to see price break the high here. And if we do that, that means, okay, yen is now bullish. And that means the yen pairs will be pretty bearish, and I'll be expecting them to head lower. So, yeah, I might find some shorts on like a Swiss yen potentially, or like a Euro yen. But I still need a little bit more before I do follow. Joy Miko, which one are you talking about, Bashi? These were to buy right now, weekly demand and control, which also monthly demand. Engulfing candle and DXY is a potential buy. Yeah, I can see that happening. I'm just not quite ready yet for the buy on the dollar. I do think that will be the longer term move and the bigger move in the market. So I'm with you there, but I think we're just a little bit too early to the party. Or at least according to my analysis. We'll find out in hindsight if I was too early or not. But yeah, I do think price is running out of steam, especially on the higher time frames, weekly, monthly chart. I do think there's a move to the upside for the dollar. But after the price action we've seen last week, past few weeks actually, I wouldn't want to be looking to buy just yet. Oh, okay, the competition. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, again, it's just a bit of fun. There's nothing serious. If you're busy, no, there's no problem with that. Still think Deeks were a couple of longs, a couple months, a couple months away from a long. Um, Potentially. Let's look at the monthly chart. I mean, the longs are there. I like the weekly. The weekly shows a little bit more detailed. But yeah, things are still pretty bearish here. Things are still pretty bearish, so I wouldn't be jumping into any longs yet. I do think the momentum we've seen has kind of run out and we're kind of corrective now. So I think we'll eventually do something like that, especially after taking out major lows here. But I wouldn't want to bet now for a buy. And yeah, that could be a couple of months. It could be a couple of weeks, maybe even longer. All right, no problem. Malik, have a good one, my man. Appreciate you tagging along. Yeah, of course. We'll probably do it multiple times, to be honest. All right, take care, Malik. Take care, my man. Have a good one. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate it, Malik. One last like and sub. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It does really help out. And I appreciate that that shout out, Malik. Okay, down to 95. Still got a bit of distance before we get there. I mean, 95 would be a big psychological level. As we break 100, the next big one would be 95, and then you've got 90 down there. Could see price drop to 95. I don't think that's too outlandish, to be honest. I think that's pretty realistic. And possibly push up, but I'm guessing 2 to 3 months, to be honest, unless we get big news. Yeah, it probably would take 2-3 months to get there. It depends on momentum, of course. It could be a lot less. It could even be longer. But I do have a bearish bias for now, especially with what I'm seeing in the past few weeks. I do think we're likely to drop. Again, we might not necessarily drop this week. It's just because we've seen the breakout of the range, which is why I'm getting excited, because prices finally broke through the floor here. As long as we can stay below, I'm happy, although momentum is starting to drop a little bit. But as long as we can stay below that, I do think price is likely to continue falling. Forming weekly inverted head and shoulder, forming left shoulder. Look deep. Left shoulder. Not sure if I can look as deep as you, my friend. You're looking very deep, because I'm not really seeing an inverted head and shoulder. Unless you're talking about this. That's way early. Yeah, price could do 100 different things before we do that. I mean, it could do that, but way too early. No kind of incentive to necessarily predict that. Unless you're talking about something else. But that's the only thing that makes some sense in terms of inverted head and shoulder on the monthly chart. But like I said, I do expect a bit more weakness and then maybe some strength later on. Yeah, and Yusuf, no problem. Based on your how many loss would you see in order to reduce your lot size? Good question. I'd probably reduce it after maybe about 15 to 20 losses. And actually, no, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily 15 to 20 losses in a row, but I would like 15 to 20 are down. So whatever that R is, because it could be 0.5, it could be 2 potentially. But 15 to 20, if my equity curve drops that far down, then I would reduce risk. Because I don't want to reduce after 5 losses, because the funny thing is, after about 5 losses, you're probably likely to win the next trade. So you don't want to be in a situation where you've taken 5 losses, you reduce the risk, then you win, and then you don't make back your losses as you would have done if you kept the risk as you normally should have done. So knowing your risk parameters and knowing your tendency to experience a certain level of drawdown is quite important. On average, you could be down 10R. So I would suggest, if let's say an average you're down 10R, then I would say add about 3 or 4 before you reduce your lot size. So maybe like half the position. If you reduce it too early, you would experience situations where you do find your rhythm back, but because it's at such a low size, it doesn't really make much of a dent. And then you increase it back again, and the funny thing is you might take another loss and then you just go down. And that's just not because of your trading ability, that's just because of your chopping and changing a lot sizes too much. You want to have a lot size which you're comfortable with, and you can stomach 5 to 10 losses in a row potentially. You want to have that kind of comfort with that risk. If you can take 10 losses in a row with that lot size, you're going to be very kind of neutral, very comfortable. Then you don't need to reduce your lot size because you're not risking too much. If you're risking too much after 3-4 losses and you need to reduce your lot size, then you're risking too much. It needs to be at least 10 before you kind of reconsider things. And that gives you room, that gives you less stress as well. So 15 to 20 I think is a good area. If you get into that stage, then probably not only are you kind of just out of sync with the market, but maybe you're getting some mental brain fog, which you need to kind of clear. Then you can reduce your lot size, find your rhythm again, and pick it back up later on. But I think 10 is a good number to start with. Okay guys, we have reached the end of the stream, so I do hope you have found it useful and enjoyed it. If that's the case, guys, please do be sure, I can't speak today, what's going on? Please be sure to smash the like button, there we go, and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. You can support the channel further with the memberships below. There's added perks there, members only videos, so check it out if you are interested. But yeah guys, thank you so much for tuning in, really do appreciate it. I will be live again tomorrow as always, every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. so if you do enjoy the content, want to see more, do pop in, come and say hi. But guys, really appreciate it. Thank you Bashi for moderating the stream. Thank you of course to everyone else for tuning in, really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Six AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.